Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Jane, your favorite psychologist. Welcome to my channel. The conversation we're having today, it's regarding this construct of age. And there's a popular saying that age is just a number. In developmental psych, in psychology, in cognitive science, we don't see age as just a number. We see age as a way to determine the skills that a person should or shouldn't have. And so I wanted to have this conversation because, again, it leads perspective and it gives us perspective on this thing called age. So there are different types of age that we have. The first one is psychological age. And our psychological age measures our mental and emotional maturity, our ability to adapt, and how old a person feels compared to their chronological age. It considers the person's cognitive ability. It considers their emotional regulation. It considers their ability to cope or their coping skills. And it highlights that people may feel younger or older than their actual age. And I want you to picture this scenario. So let's say you have a person who is 30 years old, but this 30-year-old person is on the floor having a fit. Now, the people in the store would be looking at this 30-year-old adult person and wonder why they're on the floor having a fit. This is a grown person on the floor having a fit. People look at you kind of funny. They look at you with the side eye, with the stink eye, with the no eye. They look at you funny. Now, if it's a 3-year-old child on the ground having a fit, no one looks at that child funny. They say, okay, well, so and so is having a moment, and that's okay. And socially, we accept that. But if it's a 30-year-old person on the floor having a fit, right? And so we think about, okay, well, what is wrong with this person? Why they are having a fit on the floor, kicking and screaming at 30 years old. This is what we mean about the psychological age of a person. A person may be 30 years old, but have the psychological age of a 10-year-old or a 3-year-old. And so it's important to understand what a person can and cannot do based on the age that they are. The next one is our social age. This refers to the societal or the social expectations and roles associated with a particular age. It takes the milestone into consideration, careers, marriage, retirement, and reflects on how individuals interact with social, norms and groups. Again, our social age. Do I act in a way that is socially appropriate for my age? Now, if I have a 5-year-old that goes around hugging everybody, the parent is still teaching the child that, okay, you can't go around hugging everyone, and they have to be taught personal space. Now, if a 30-year-old person just goes around hugging everyone, people may look at them again with the side eye, with the stink eye. with the funny eye, with the no eye, they look at them kind of funny, right? And so, what is socially appropriate for an individual at that time? If I say, okay, I am 30 years old, there are certain things that society expect me to be able to do and not do, right? If I say, okay, I'm 12 years old, we're not expecting this 12-year-old person to pay rent or to pay a mortgage, right? We're not expecting those things. The chronological age is our next one. And our chronological age measures the number of years, months, days a person have lived since birth. Now, this is what is used for legal purposes, social and societal milestones. It is also what we use for demographic statistics. However, it does not reflect a person's individual health. It doesn't reflect their cognitive function, and it does not reflect their maturity level. And so when we are collecting census data, data for research and so forth, we don't see, oh, you don't see it on the form. What is this person's social age? What is their psychological age? That is not what we see. We see age and we automatically assume that that is their chronological age because that is what we use normally, right? Now, in some countries, the age of a person starts from conception. And so the person is still in the womb, as opposed to the age starts when they exit the womb. And so it's real interesting how different cultures see this concept of age that we use. In some cultures, this idea of adolescence and tween, not every culture has that. In some cultures, you're either a child or you're an adult. There is no in between. There is no, okay, well, make sure this person transition into adulthood and this person is an adolescent and this and that. Not every culture has that. And so when we look at this concept of age, it's handled differently, dependent on the country, dependent on the culture. Our next type of age is our biological age, also known as our physiological age. And this reflects the condition of a person's cells, tissues, and organ. It indicates how well the body is functioning compared to the average. And so let's stay with the age 30. And we're looking at 30-year-old young women. And we see a person at 30, but their body is worn. They don't have the biological age of an average 30-year-old. Maybe they have the biological age of a 50-year-old person. This is the number you would see when personal trainers or in the gym, they talk about our biological age based on our physical fitness or physical physique or body and the state of that physical body. So that's our biological age or physiological age. The next one is our functional age. This is a holistic measure that combines our chronological, biological, psychological, social age, and social factor to assess an individual's overall capability and health. This is important because you can look at a 90-year-old person, and that 90-year-old person have all of their faculties, right? There is, um, there was this article, it was a news clip some time ago. We had a 71-year-old person, bodybuilder, and she, someone came to burglarize her home, and she literally just she beat the young man down. She gave him a good beat down at 71 years old, but she had began bodybuilding. And so since she was, bodybuilding, she was not the average 71-year-old woman. And that young man, he got a beat down, right? And so she did not have a functional age and a biological age of the average 71-year-old woman. Okay? Our functional age provides insight into our ability to perform daily activities and maintain our independence. Absolutely essential as we look at the aging process and a person's ability to be able to live independently, live in their own home, as opposed to going into a home and so forth. When we're looking at this construct of you're not grown at 18, just because a person is 18 years old and quote unquote an adult, it doesn't mean that they have that psychological age and that functioning age of an adult person to where they have the emotional capacity and the wherewithal to function as an adult. And so these ideas are important when you are raising children, when you have expectations for your young adult children. It's also important when we're looking at parental betrayal and the age at which those experiences happen to the child, because then it has the propensity of, in some areas, stunting the child's growth, in other areas accelerating the child's growth, because then if they have to be responsible for themselves at a younger age than they're supposed to, then of course they have to grow up quickly to be able to take care of themselves. And so as we are looking at these different concepts on the channel, I would like for you to really take these things into consideration. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. And if you have any stories with regards to parental betrayal, if you have any stories about things you've done while you're making that transition between 18 to 24 that you would highlight and encourage young people to not do again, please email me at parentalbetrayal500@gmail.com. Again, my name is Dr. Jane, and I am your favorite psychologist. Thank you for watching.